Let's go see what they're doing, Bruce. You gotta do it again. Let's get it. You gotta get this. Do it again. You got it. Actually, you know what? My favorite part of skating is this part. It's like, I call it the concrete campfire. It's like after the skating is when you swap stories and hang out. It's like the blood's congealing, the sweat's drying up. Sitting on the curb outside a convenience store sometimes. That most people don't ever get to experience that.
Right.
They don't know what it's like to tear through a town. Like for most people, the environment dictates things, and skaters redefine that environment, and that's so. Most people don't know what that feels like.
Good. All right, how y'all doing? Thanks for coming out tonight and hanging out with us. We are the Complete Disaster from Des Moines, Iowa.
Take your time, that's doing it. Doing it. You gotta shoot for the moon, but also bring your proof, that's doing it. Doing it. You gotta make lemonade, that's how dudes get paid when you're doing it. Doing it. You gotta ignore the score, leave your baggage at the door, that's doing it. Doing it. Don't ask for permission when you're on a mission, that's doing it. Doing it. You don't conform or comply, you just follow your why, that's doing it. Doing it. You don't take your vacation, life is a destination when you're doing it. Doing it. You don't play the victim, no, you play the cards you're given, that's doing it. Doing it.
Well, when I'm on tour, and if I have any free time, a day off even, I like to get out. If I get into nature, I'm there. But if not, I'll just hike in a city. I call it urban hiking. Throw on my rucksack and I'll hit the streets and put miles down. In 2011, I signed up for this physical challenge, endurance challenge called the Go Ruck Challenge. I was recovering from a broken arm and I was looking for something physical to do that was not skateboarding or playing hockey. And I went to Las Vegas to do the Go Ruck Challenge, and it's like a 10 to 12 hour endurance challenge through a city. At that time, it was before ruck plates, so we basically just had bricks duct taped together in our backpacks. So I had 35 pounds of bricks in my backpack and whatever else I needed to carry for the 12 hours or so. And we hit the streets and we were doing bear crawls and flutter kicks in the, bear crawling through the park and flutter kicks in the duck pond and you name it. It was a hard thing to do. And that's how I discovered rucking and the company Go Ruck. The Floyd Monument is a skate spot.
Oh my God, it is.
Woo! I mean, look at this hip, man. I can't believe I haven't been here before. I've skated so many monuments and places of interest that I had no idea what they were because I was just too busy skating them. This is crazy. Today's been about getting out to some of the Lewis and Clark sites that populate the Missouri River on the Iowa side of the Missouri River. And that's been something I've been wanting to do for quite a while. This is my first chance to do it. My whole adult life, I've always kind of tried to carve out time for other things that I'm interested in. But since I lived in Iowa, I've really been kind of Iowa specific about a lot of my interests. Over the course of time, when I have the time, take off on a day trip. A day trip's great, you know. Some of the other stuff I want to do is going to take more than a day trip, but a day trip's great. It's like get up early, get out of the house, put some miles down, go see something cool, drive back. If you're lucky, be home in time for dinner, or at least in time to, you know, kiss the wife goodnight. Like with everything, once you actually make the effort and you get out and you do it, then you're like, oh yeah, why didn't I do this last month? I don't know. I'm glad I'm doing it now. This is like the most ideal skate spot for me. This is right up my alley. I'm more interested in that now. I just want to bomb those stairs, man. Just front set alley, back set alley. You know what I want to do? Alley-oop boneless the stairs. I totally see it, man. Dude, I haven't felt like this in a while. I didn't bring a board. I can't believe I didn't bring a board. So I love sitting here, working here, writing. My desk is too cluttered. I like it here because of the light. I can look out at all the trees, and I got my bird feeders here. I only write for a few hours, and then I have to go for a run or ride my bike or go for a ruck. Or I mix my days. I really mix my days with work. Well, we'll call it work. It's a workman-like approach to writing, to being creative. But then there's also this more athletic approach to the rest of my life. Definitely don't want to be sitting around looking at screens. It's going to be outside doing something or creative work. I even like my wallet is also an instrument for writing. I got this at Fontanella in the East Village, and I love it, man. I have a pen and a little notebook, so everywhere I go, I get an idea, take it up. I know it's goofy, but these are all the journals I've kept since I've lived here in Iowa. So these are my Iowa journals. Journaling was something I've always done. I mean, as far back as I can remember. Sadly, when my first daughter was born in 1992, I threw all my journals away. I was just thinking, I wanted to start my life new as a father. Probably a mistake, but I also understand what I was thinking at the time. And I've done this numerous times in my life where I've just purged, and I've just had to, my eyes are in the front of my head, and I've had to just go forward, and I had to just let the past drop away. It's the only way you can go forward. Well, my memoir is a skateboard memoir, really. And it's about a time in my life that was only lived once. It's really about the early days of street skating, the people who pioneered the art of street skating. I think it's really a story that only I could tell. I was a fan of it, so I had that pulled back viewpoint of it, but I was also a participant of it. People always tell me, like, oh man, you tell these great stories. How do you remember all this stuff? I remember it because at the same time that it was happening, that I was actually living it, I was going, this is fucking amazing. I had that ability to just pull back slightly and go, wow, this is cool. And then step back into the moment. So I was there shoulder to shoulder with these people, and I thought the world of them, but I was also one of them, and I think that's where a lot of the storytelling comes from. And that's where sitting down to work on this memoir, especially, I feel like I have a very unique voice, a very unique story that really only I could tell. I was at a Comicon in New York City with my book, Boulevard of the Eagles, and I was meeting and greeting folks and signing books. And my buddy Danny from Holy Mountain, the publisher of the comic, he was like, dude, Steranko's over there. You got to get him to sign your book. And I was like, I'm kind of shy. I don't really want to go meet this guy. I was like, well, dude, I'll just give you the book. I'm kind of busy anyway. You go get the book signed. He's like, all right, dude. And we had heard that, Steranko's line took a long time, because Steranko, very much like what I was doing, was taking the time. He was standing up. He was meeting and greeting folks, shaking their hand, having a conversation. So he gets in the line, and he's been there for a long time. I had a lull in what I was doing, so I walked over to see, if he was close to getting the book signed. And he's like, dude, I'm there. Like, take the book, you get it signed. You got to meet him. And I was like, all right. So I had my book, and I'm next, and Steranko turns and he looks at me and he's like, whoa, who are you? Who's this guy? And I was like, what? Like, this is exactly what I didn't want. I wanted to just go sign the book, get out of there. And he's like, whoa, who are you? And I was like, who am I? And he's like, what do you do? You're somebody, what do you do? And I was like, he goes, you're in tremendous shape. What do you do? I was like, I ruck. And he's like, ruck? What's ruck? And I was like, well, it's like you get a backpack with weight in it, you put on your back and you walk. And he's like, I never heard of ruck, but whatever you're doing, keep doing it. You look tremendous. And I was kind of like, he had the guy that was kind of like his handler standing there, and I looked at him, and he was like, I don't know, I've never heard him talk like this to somebody before. So I was like, oh, this is so weird. Like he's talking about my physical appearance, I was like, I'm not used to that. I didn't expect it. I was like, okay, he signed my book, and he grabs the book, and he's like, oh man, I love this cover, huh? Stan Lee, he fought me on everything. I always wanted to make my books look like movie posters, or I had different inspirations that I wanted to bring into comic book art. And they were like, nah, just keep with what whatever the status quo of the day was. We want the status quo, just keep the status quo. He's like, I don't want the status quo, I'm Steranko, I'm kind of putting a few words in his mouth, but, and I think about that, like, here's this guy who's considered one of the greatest comic book artists of all time, and nothing that he wanted to do was easy. Nothing that he wanted to accomplish was handed to him. He had to fight. He had to fight Stan Lee. He had to fight whoever. There was always somebody in his way saying, you can't do that. And he's like, well, I'm going to do it. And his art is just I mean, it's unlike anybody else. This is just tremendous. And I hand him the book, and he's looking at it, and he's like, yeah, he's like, Stan Lee fought me on everything. This is one he let me get away with. And he's like, I just love this cover. I just love it. And he got real excited about it. And he grabbed a black Sharpie, and he's like, all right, let's get this thing signed for you. And he's doing this thing, and he's acting like, I don't know, like he's like, like it's this real physical, like it's athletic signing something, you know? He's like, wait a second, let's go with red. And then he grabs a red Sharpie, and he's like, red, right? And I was like, yeah, red. And he's like, okay, red. And then he signs it. And I mean, he's just got a beautiful signature. And I was blown away, man. I was just totally blown away. The presence that he had, the effort he made to make this moment real, to impart something more than just a signature. I could relate to that. That's what I've always tried to do. It really meant a lot to me. And I got the book, and I turned around, I started walking away, and I was like floating. I was like walking on air. This is a simple thing, just being kind to somebody and taking the time and making the effort to have a conversation, a short conversation, but it sort of restored my faith in humanity. And it also reinvigorated me for the next round of, you know, meeting and greeting people. Because like I said, my nature is to be shy. My nature is to turn inward and to not be open and to not be engaging. And a long time ago, in like the early and mid 90s, I had to change. I had to change who I was and how I did things, because I began to realize that people found me to be difficult to approach, or they thought I was being an asshole when I wasn't. I was just incredibly shy kid, and I changed the way I engage with people. Where I used to walk into situations where, you know, there's a lot of eyeballs on me, and I would just have my head down, and I'd be holding my board, and I'd be nervous. And got on my board, I was totally electric, totally alive, and that was fine. But when I wasn't on my board, I didn't know what to do with myself, and I could. It was hard for me to make eye contact with people, especially people that were like fawning over me. But in the mid 90s, I said, I can't. This is not the way to be, and it was a conscious choice, a conscious effort to walk into these same situations with my head up and my hand out and just start meeting people and talking to them. And it changed my life. But it's not my nature. So I always have to be proactive about it. I have to be conscious of it. And meeting Steranko was like, yes, I wasn't wrong to be that way. I wasn't wrong to make these efforts, because what I got out of meeting him was meaningful, was truly meaningful. And I think that's just what I hope to do, and what I do. And I'm glad I met him. It's totally inspiring. There was a guy in line behind me who was really upset because my comic book is in disrepair. It's not mint. Oh no, it's not mint. You know? And he's like, oh dude, what are you doing, bro? Your mag's all, it looks like shit, bro. And I was like, hey, no one fucking asked you, man. Don't worry about it, okay? And Steranko didn't care. He wasn't like, oh, what are you giving me, a piece of shit? He was just like, yeah, man. You know, it's not about the book. It's about that moment. And I cherish the book now because the book represents that moment.
I kept walking. In 2005, I broke my leg, and they said, that's it. And they were right. They were right. My leg healed. I got up. I keep walking, I keep walking, I keep walking. In 2010, you know what they said? You're over the hill, old man. You're over the hill. Your time has come, your time is gone. Go away. I keep walking, 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 still walking, still walking.
This is the best time of day. My favorite time of day. This is like ideal time to be on the trail. I've taken my rucksack on all kinds of adventures, but I think the best adventure I've ever had, rucksack, or really even without the rucksack, was back in June. I was in Normandy for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. And my daughter Lucy joined me for that. And we did a 80-kilometer hike, or ruck, which is 50 miles. So we rucked 50 miles. I had 20-pound ruck plate, and she had 10-pound ruck plate. And we got to it. And it was really special because to be able to spend that much time with my daughter, to be doing something like that, something so physically challenging. And it was funny because a lot of the other people that were doing that particular ruck, when they saw me and my daughter, they thought that was cute. Like, oh, this guy with his daughter, but they're not gonna finish it. And my daughter Lucy picked up on, picked up on that energy, and she's like, Dad, are these people sleeping on me? And I was like, yeah. She's like, fuck that. They didn't know who they were fucking with. She finished the ruck so strong. And when she came across the finish line, she was smiling. And most other people, when they got to that point, they were barely keeping their bodies upright. And Jason, who owns GoRuck, founder of GoRuck, he was like, who smiles after walking 50 miles with weight on their back? Lucy does. And that was really, just great time, just to do the miles with her and the conversations we had, and it was just really special. I think I have a photo on my phone. This fly. So when we finished the ruck, we went out on the beach and we took this photo with the English Channel behind us. And when we get on the phone, we talk about, oh, should we do this marathon? We don't do a lot of this stuff. We just kind of daydream and throw ideas out there. We're both real busy and there's not time to do all the things we want to do, but we're always looking ahead to the next adventure. She's like my adventure buddy, and that's a real special thing in my life.
Thank you. Eli, will you give us one Gary Newman thank you?
Thank you.